So what I thought I'd show you today in this very quick video is just the extent to our the ADO 16 1100 1300 variant can really truly rot. This is a 1300 Austin. I think it's a 72, was it a K-Ridge? Yeah, 72ish, which I bought in blind basically a while back on the basis that I was just going to use it for parts. So it's if I believe it's too far gone anyway for a realistic restoration anyway. So I'm afraid this poor old thing's on its way to scrap heap when I finished. But what I wanted to show you was just some of the things you can expect to encounter when you're buying these, especially when you're buying them on the internet, you know, buying them on eBay. The kind of things that you'll see, it's not just the modern day bodges that you've got to look out for, it's the historic stuff as well. So if you look at this wheel arch, well, it's actually a work of art, really. You can see if I go through this side, you can see that it's parted company with the inner arch, and this is actually all fiberglass along the seam. When you look down here, you'll see that it's tin foil, which was a good old-fashioned bodge back in the day. Tin foil, and then they've put body filler over the top of the tin foil, and just gone straight over the rusty metal, which is a real old school bodge. Looking at I don't know if you can see on this video, but at the swage line here, this is the original paint, and this is the paint when they've painted to a line. So the person that done this bodge, you know, was reasonably, you know, talented in terms of they were able to do a reasonable paint job, you know, back in the day. You know, it's not the best job you'll ever see, but it's, you know, they've done the right thing. They've painted it to the line, so that at the top of it and the bottom of it you have a different shade variant, which not everybody would notice. And then they've really put an awful lot of effort into the filler that they put over the top of it. It's sad because had they put the same amount of effort into, as you can see there, if they'd have put the same amount of effort into welding a piece on, you know, even if their welding skills weren't great, they could have tack welded, you know, an arch repair on, and you know, this car would have been in much better shape than it is today, and could still have, you know, potentially been saved. So these are the sort of bodges, you know, you should expect to see. If I just show you a bit further down here as well, down on the seal again, you can see that the filler has obviously, you know, come right the way through the rust. But again, you know, when you look underneath this car and look up, you can see this is truly the extent of how bad, you know, these great little cars do end up disintegrating. And it's such a shame because it's all preventable. All of this would have been preventable with basic maintenance, you know, just a once every year or two getting under the car, giving it a quick lick of underseal, giving it a good hose off, and you know, all of this could have been avoided. The trouble is of course, you know, reality is we don't all have time to do this, and when these cars were an everyday car, you know, that's not the sort of thing people would have done. But it's worth looking at this just to show you where the bodge areas are, because on these are the classic areas where it'll be bodged. If you're going to see it, quite often you'll see a cover seal on here. So, you know, it starts there, wraps around, and then the way you can tell is underneath there's a flange that on this one, this is the original seal, believe it or not. So this is the original seal, so it meets there. But the cover seals quite often come round and meet somewhere under the floor pan, and you'll see a line along the floor pan. And what quite a common bodge is for that to be all covered over, so all this grot and rot that you see here to be covered over with a cover seal. So you look at this, you know, you look at the outer seal and you feel, oh yeah, smashing, that's nice and solid. And then, you know, you discover later on you've got a cover seal. You pick that cover seal off at your peril, because in there is something that looks a little bit more like this. And the seriousness of this isn't just your everyday door sill, you know, side sill of a car. These cars, their structural integrity is within this sill. And if you go to the 1100 Club website, you'll see some technical articles on how the seals go together. But basically, they're made up in such a way that they take the rigidity of the vehicle from the front wheel there to the rear wheel here, and all the strength is in this inner seal. So when they rot like this, as with all rust, by the time you see it on the outer panel, it means it's already well and truly eating its way through the inner panel. So there's some bodges there to look out for. One way you can spot this if you're going to go and look at an 1100, you know, or any car. If you want to check for these sort of bodges, don't be shy. You know, get down on your hands and knees and have a look. If that's not possible, bring a mirror, so you can just hold a mirror just under there to just run it along and have a quick look. And another good tip is a magnet. And a lot of people, you know, scoff at the idea, but you know, a magnet can tell you almost instantly whether what you're looking at is metal or whether it's filler. Now, of course, this is why people started using tin foil. But even with tin foil, within the bodge, there is a very different feel with the magnet. If you put a magnet on that versus a magnet on the solid steel, that you will feel that there'll be less resistance when you pull it away. So, and the areas to check are always, as usual, the leading edges on any car. You know, the door skins are another common bodge area. They didn't bother bodging this one, they just let it disintegrate. But that's another common area where you would see all manner of bodges with tin foil and such like that. And again, another grot area for these, and this one suffers in just the same way as down there in the boot in the corner. You know, all of those places are the hot spots for the where the water pools in these cars, and then they disintegrate. So hopefully that video has given you a quick tip on what to look for, and the same rule applies, you know, in any panel that you're looking at. But take a good look at that paint again, just before we finish up with this video. Take a good look at that paint, and then bearing in mind this, you know, it's as flat as anything. You know, it's not been cleaned or polished for many a decade, but you can see that's the original paint, and there is where this repair was carried out. They resprayed the whole lower quarter of that panel. In fact, they probably even did this on the other side of the car as well. I haven't even had a look, but you can see what I mean about how it's not always obvious to spot that kind of thing. If I zoom back, you can see that, you know, to the untrained eye, it just looks like a shade variant from the light, not anything to do with a difference in paint. So they're good things to look for when you go and look and buying a car, is to try and look down the side of it, look along the side of it, and don't be afraid to get down and look along